What's the best way to increase your productivity on your Jetson Developer Kit? Add a solid-state disk. I'll show you how. Hello, it's Jim from JetsonHacks.com. We are installing a SSD into our Jetson Xavier NX Developer Kit and setting up the system to run from that very disk. Installing a solid-state disk, which is referred to as a SSD, is one of the best upgrades you can make as a developer on your Jetson. A SSD is between 5 to 15 times faster than the flash memory that is in a SD card or eMMC. By placing your system on a SSD, you will notice a significant increase in speed. The Xavier NX Developer Kit has a M.2 key M slot where we will install a non-volatile memory express SSD. You will see this abbreviated as NVMe SSD. There are two different types of M.2 key M SSDs on the market. One is NVMe, which works with PCIe. The other is SATA-based. SATA does not work in the Jetson slot. Make sure that you get a NVMe version. The PCIe version on the Jetson is Gen 3. I will leave a link in the description below to a couple of them that I use. Depending on your needs, the best current value sweet spot appears to be right around 500 gigabytes or so. Today we are installing a Western Digital WD Black. It has 500 GBs. We love our GBs. Let's flip our developer kit over. Here is the M.2 key M slot where we plug the SSD in. And here's the retaining screw for the slot. Let's remove the retaining screw. There is a little bit of blue thread locker on the screw. It might take a little extra persuasion to remove the first time. Let's put this aside. Now let's install our memory card. Insert it into the connector. A little bit of pressure to put it in here. You should feel a click once it's installed. And now we install the retaining screw. Installation complete. Now that we have a SSD, we can use it as plain secondary storage. However, to take full advantage of the extra speed, we are going to run our system from SSD. Let's go connect our Jetson to a monitor, keyboard, and mouse, and we'll switch over to a screencast. Now that our SSD is installed, let's format it. Let's find the disks application. There it is, 500 GBs of goodness. Let's format the disk. Compatible with modern systems and hard disks. Format. Are you sure you want to format the disk? Yes, please. Password.
Authenticate.
Now we need to add a partition. Let's leave a little room on here in case we want to add other partitions. 16 sounds good. Next. Xavier NX 500. That sounds fast. And we want to make sure that we format it ext4. Create. And now it's ready to go. We don't need to mount it. Our scripts will do that later. Let's close this up. Now let's set our disk up. Let's grab our convenience scripts. On the Jetson Hacks account on GitHub, there is a repository named root on NVMe. It sounds like a college fight song. Let's clone our repository. Grab the address. And we'll switch over to that repository's directory. This is a two-step process. First, we will copy the rootfs on the SD card over to the SSD. Let's do that. Our copy is complete. So here's one thing I bungled. By default, we appear to be in 10 watt mode. Let's set that to 15 watt mode. We'll go 6 core. Now we are ready to do the final step, which is to set up our service. Clear this off. Stick around for the tech talk where we discuss how all this works. And set up service. Authentication required. Password.
Authenticate.
Even though the entire system is now on the SSD, we still need the SD card installed to boot the system. The system does not know how to boot from the SSD card directly. NVIDIA stated that booting directly from the SSD will be available in the future. And now the moment of truth. Let's reboot. This is a good sign. Here we go. And if by magic, we now see that the SD card is here, and we are running from the SSD. It's almost like we planned it that way. That's interesting. The mode went back to 10 watt. Oh, we can't have that. Have to look at that. And that's how you set up your Jetson to put the rootfs on the NVMe SSD. It's tech talk time. Let's look at our script. The main part of this implementation comes from the Jetson Xavier forum, from this post here. The post is by Crazy Yorick. A special shout out of thanks to Crazy Yorick for coming up with this method. In our first script, we copied the rootfs from the SD card to the SSD. Let's take a look at that real quick. It's pretty simple. We just mounted the SSD, and then we used rsync to copy over the files. We excluded from the copy some of the system files and symbolic links. No need to transfer those. And then we set up the service. We are adding a systemd service. Systemd is the system and session manager for Ubuntu. This subject area is too large to cover here, but essentially we are adding a script to run when the bootloader is handing over control from the boot RAM file system to the Linux kernel. The main files for the service are in this data folder. There's the service file itself, and then there's the script that it will run on startup. Let's take a look at the service. And basically the clever part here is the systemd remount fs service. This basically tells the system that when it mounts the file system, run this script here. Another point of interest is this condition path exists. If this file is missing, it will not run this script, and therefore you end up with the rootfs on the SD card. Let's take a look at this script. This basically sets up some paths. And then we mount the SSD, and then we switch the root over to the SSD. Some folks in the Jetson Xavier NX forum have been able to simply use the ext Linux config file to instruct the kernel to set the rootfs to the SSD. This is done by pointing the root to the SSD after the append statement in the boot entry. However, I was unable to get that to work even after playing around with it for a couple of days. The issue to me appeared to be that the SSD does not mount properly. Let me know in the comments below if you have success with that method and what obvious thing I am missing. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you have not already, please subscribe. Oh, and stay safe. Thanks for watching.